welcome everybody to day number 4, our summary and conclusion of Gmail, our introduction to Gmail for this, this turn here at Larson Training Centers. So Monday was our setup and introduction. We talked about how Google is one of the, Gmail is one of the 8 Google apps that we study. What's another one? Victoria, are you there?
Go ahead. Go ahead. He asked, are you here?
I said, yes, I am.
Okay, Victoria, what's one of the 8 Google apps that we study?
What's all of them or one of them?
Just one.
Calendar.
Calendar, right. Who's got another one? Chrome in Santa Fe Springs.
Mindy said Drive.
Drive. Good.
Maria said Chrome.
Chrome, good.
Google Voice.
What else?
Army said Google Voice.
Voice, good.
Phyllis said Gmail.
Gmail, good.
Matt.
Somebody came up with that one.
And YouTube.
What, Matt?
Matt and YouTube.
Yeah.
And there's one more.
Google Plus.
Thank you, Jamie. Google Plus.
Good, Jamie.
You said that, I thought.
Oh, did you say that? Okay, we didn't hear that. So, let me see if I can move this whiteboard over. Where it's visible. Okay, so we talked a little bit about on Monday why Gmail, or how Gmail fits into the other apps and where it came from. So all of the apps are meant to work together. So from Gmail, what is another app that you can get to when you're creating an email?
Here or Santa Fe?
From anywhere. Yeah, from here.
You can do your calendar.
Okay, so you can, how do you get to your calendar from Gmail?
Create events.
Right, creating events. Okay, what's another thing you can do? What's another app you can connect to from Gmail?
Google Hangouts.
How do you connect to Drive?
Don't remember.
You attach a document.
That's right.
Okay,
I was just testing you.
good, thank you. I passed. Okay, so what is another thing you can do from Gmail?
Maps.
How do you get to Maps?
You put location.
You put location where?
I'm guessing now.
Okay,
He said, no, I'm just guessing.
Okay, hold on, I'll tell you. We go to my Gmail.
so one of the things on Gmail you can do is quickly, if you have your lab set up, is to make calls. Over on the left-hand column,
Oh, yeah.
you can make a call. And you don't need to have your own
From Gmail.
voice number to make a
That
call.
yesterday. How do you make a call?
I was just say, how do you make a call?
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
was
you can
trying to
make
do
a
that
call
yesterday.
from email.
You go to your contacts, right?
Yeah.
So how do we
Oh,
get
yeah.
to,
Yeah.
well, how do we get to,
Gmail. You go
Gmail.
to contacts.
how do we get to Gmail from Google Plus?
You press your Gmail button.
Okay, so one way is to go to the 9-square grid. That's the one I recommend you do, because that is always there.
Or you can put on your bookmark like everyone else does.
Yeah, I got it on a bookmark.
You can put it on a bookmark like everyone else does, but
When you're on a different
you
computer.
first of all have to put it on your bookmark.
So you go to contacts is what you do to make a call?
Nope.
Yeah, you don't have to explain it.
Show us how they call. This is gonna be cool. I tried yesterday. I couldn't figure it out.
What did he say, how do you get to Gmail from what?
Just click Gmail.
You go to your
9-square grid.
9-square
Well,
grid.
Because that's always there.
Work,
Oh, no, I can't have sync up there.
how do you get to Gmail? Google Drive or something? Is that what you're saying?
How do you get to Gmail?
Go to your 9-square grid, right?
Google Plus?
It should be up on your taskbar.
Yeah, but if you're on someone else's computer, you just go to the 9-square grid. Sign in. Okay. Now we're gonna make a phone call, right?
Okay, so I go to my Gmail, contacts.
Hey, Director,
Yes.
Google Voice has a few numbers on the 516 area code.
Okay,
516.
somebody wants to jump on it. Dave just
Mine on
said
beside my cell phone.
Google Voice has some numbers on area code 516.
If you already have a Google number.
Yeah, mine just automatically gives my phone
can't-
number.
You gotta-
Add it on.
Right.
But you gotta
You
type
can have
it.
how many numbers?
No, you can have a-
Yeah, but then you gotta tell everyone to dial area code 516 then, right?
Now, if you change it.
Yeah, so what?
Okay.
Okay, so I do not,
You said
okay,
516.
so over here.
I need to help.
If you have this box opened up on the right side, not this box, but this window opened up on the right side of your Gmail,
Can you open the window? Okay.
then you can make a call to the person.
Oh, got it.
Oh, that's.
You gotta open the
Video
window
calls.
on the right side. From settings,
Okay,
Okay, so I'm calling Sean.
do you activate settings to get that box popped
Yeah,
up?
how do you open up
On the right side?
okay, so
It's
video
just,
call.
it's just the people in the class.
No, it's not just the people in class, so I'll go
Oh.
back.
Okay.
So these are people in my contact list who I have called.
But how do you open up that grid?
Well, we're not talking about that
There's like
right now.
6 numbers on that
We'll
516.
do that. We'll do that later. But you can go to Google Voice. You can make you can get to Hangouts. You can send an SMS message. You can. So Travana just sent a message. Says, "Screw you."
It does?
No.
Travana.
Oh my God.
How do we add?
This is a
our
former
contact-
student. Was a very good student.
That's what I would like to know.
What? Do you what?
How do we add the contacts to that list over there?
It
Okay,
adds
well,
it as you
at
make
the top,
calls.
if you want to make a call,
Let's search, but there's not all of them.
Find someone on Hangouts by typing their name.
okay, so I hit this here. Who do you want to call? Somebody from your contacts, or let's just say,
Okay,
I don't
I'm
see
sorry, I just got a new
Yeah,
Google
you
Voice
just start
number I wasn't
typing
watching.
in their name.
So where do we go? We go to
Right
Gmail?
here. If you hit the search. this-
Okay. Go for
I'm
my
sorry,
contacts.
Director, we go to our Gmail and then what do we
Search
do?
button, hit that. And then up there, search for people.
To the right
Yeah,
side,
that,
you
and
open
then
up the
type
grid.
in, start typing in.
Yeah, I got the Google
And then-
Gmail, I'm on Gmail, so how do we make a phone call? Where do we go? I'm sorry.
okay, well,
All
this
right,
is a
okay.
review day. This isn't a learning day.
Yeah.
So if your labs is set up properly, you should have over on the right side of your page ability to do Hangouts.
Yeah,
Okay, and a Hangout is either a call. Google really doesn't call it Google Voice anymore, or they're switching away from that to Hangouts. In fact, that's why we delayed doing Google Voice for a long time. We thought there was going to be a Google upgrade to Voice, changing it to Hangouts. Anyway, on the right side of your page, you should, in your Gmail, if you don't, then you can talk to a staff member or talk to me afterwards. But you should have your page set up to look like I'll switch over to my I'm going to switch over to my screen. Okay, so this is what my Gmail looks like. So over on the left, I have all of my circles. So I can't click on it. And on the right, I have my Hangouts. And in the middle, I have my Gmail. So if I wanted to make a call to somebody, if I wanted to call somebody that was already on this list of people I've called,
yeah.
Mhm.
I just click on them.
Okay,
I
you
just go
click there.
boom. But I can click on a magnifying glass next to my name and put in a phone number or somebody's email or their name, if I have my contacts list set up right,
Yeah, it's
and then I can send it to them.
Yeah, me and Jody just did a
So
study.
you all would either make a call
Okay,
or
I
Well,
clicked
of
on
course
that
it
box.
works.
so you can do either make a call or do a hangout.
Oh, I see, it says call right there.
Yes, Billy.
Make a call.
What do you mean, one way?
Well, I've done it
Oh,
for
okay, so
Gmail.
if you're online, okay, so Billy asked a good question. So if you're online, they can do a hangout call to you because you're in Google Plus. You know, your account is open. Your Hangout account is open.
Because I'm just saying, because I've done several calls through Gmail where there's a little icon on the phone, click on that, then it has you download an application.
Yeah.
Then you can call
Right.
relatives.
So that's being migrated away from.
Oh, okay.
So once you now, when you get a Gmail account, you automatically have a Google Plus account. When you have a Google Plus account, you automatically have circles that you can create and do things with. And so one of the things that you have in Google Plus is the Hangouts, right? Right, everyone? In Google Plus, one of your choices is Hangouts. With Gmail, with Google, these were all built separately. Now they're in the process of combining them and streamlining them and making them even easier. So back to California. So from your Gmail, you can also make calls, video calls, telephone calls. You can do text messages, or text-like messages.
Group conversation?
You can do groups. That would be a Hangout. And of course, the Hangout on air is something different. All right. So, that's kind of the summary. Then on Monday, we went to labs and we reconfigured. Well, we tweaked our labs. One of the labs that I said do not enable, we're going to watch a video today, a tutorial where you might want to enable it. Okay, that was the, I can't remember what it's called, something about automatic or saved canned responses. Canned responses. So today's video is going to have canned responses on it. And you might want to enable this. It does make Gmail more flexible, more professional. So if you want to do it, you can, but you have to do more when you do it. So Monday we did labs. Tuesday we set up our accounts and our signatures. Yesterday we created events and we looked at contacts. Today's just going to be a summary after we watch this video about 2 ninja tricks for making Gmail even better. Okay? So Crystal, can we watch the video? Does anybody have any questions?
Go ahead with the video, Ed.
We're okay,
Okay.
in Long Beach.
What?
Little squanch boys.
I got it.
thought you sent me. I sent you one yesterday.
Okay, Crystal, are you guys still watching or are you done? Hello, Crystal. I see Victoria. Can you hear me, Victoria? Raise your hand if you can hear me.
Ed, can you give us maybe like 2 more minutes? And
Okay, good.
Long Beach lost their computer
Sure,
pro.
absolutely.
Okay.
Okay, so California's a couple minutes behind us. They're going to join us. Now, what did everybody think about canned responses?
Handy.
Handy?
I mean, if you have certain stuff that you're constantly sending.
Too hard?
Too hard?
Okay.
Okay, Ed, we're back, but can you unmute yourself?
Ed, you're muted.
Ed, can you unmute yourself?
They muted me. Okay, how's that?
Perfect, thank you.
All right, good. Thank you for thanking me. All right, so just quickly, we're going to talk about this feature that we just saw in the video called canned responses. In the labs, when we're doing labs and we're configuring labs, when we did that on Monday, I said, do not enable that. Disable that. That's a level of complexity we don't need. And if you are new to Gmail or new to Gmail, learning to use it in a professional way, like if this is your first time going through this week of Gmail, it's a good thing to not enable it because it's just a layer of complexity that is not needed. However, now for the people who've gone through this and feel comfortable with Gmail, canned responses is a very powerful tool. It makes life much easier. And if you're working in a company, your supervisor or somebody can give you, okay, here's the official language to use when blank happens. You can copy that and make a canned response for that. I have a friend named Joe Vogel who got his MBA at Harvard. Then he went and got his doctorate in business from Indiana University. And then he went to work at Ford in the finance department. This is 30 years ago. And every time he would send a letter from Ford, he had to have it reviewed before it would go out. And his supervisor's not as educated as he was. And he said it got to be very frustrating because for 6 months, every time he wanted to send a letter, he'd have to turn it in, he'd have to get it approved, they would mark it up, change the language on it, and his message was that their message is, this isn't a letter from Joe Vogel, this is a letter from Ford with Joe Vogel's name on it. This needs to be Ford language. And so it took 6 months for him to learn how to write things the way that Ford wanted. Well, Gmail makes that simple with canned responses, is you can take blocks of text and save them as a canned response just to add in here. So let's say you're in the HR department. Can you think of, that's too bad Gabby's not here, but if you're in the HR department, can you think of wording for emails that you might want to use repetitively? Like let's say you're writing somebody up, you're warning them about some behavior, you're congratulating about some behavior, you're introducing people to new procedures. Well, with canned responses, you can just open up the canned responses thing, select that canned response, and it goes into the email like that. So it saves you time, and it's consistent. Everybody gets the same message. Yes, Jamie?
Okay, now to turn that around to the job part of it, could you use canned response like when you're doing your cover letters or part of your resumes and stuff, to certain stuff like your name and address and phone number and all that stuff that you have to put on a cover letter or a resume? You do a canned response for it to automatically add that when you're doing Word to make your resume or your
Okay. All right, so what I'm doing now, I'm going to answer Jamie's question. Okay. All right, so Jamie asked a good question. Can you use canned responses for cover letters or when you're as part of your employment plan? Right?
Yeah.
Is that what you're
That's
trying
what
to
I'm
say?
basically getting to, yeah.
Okay. And the answer is yeah. Could that be very powerful? Bill, what would you say? Having a canned response in cover letters for emails.
If you're looking to ensure the text is accurate and the same every time, yeah, it's right on top of it.
Yeah.
When they have legal disclaimers?
Well, legal disclaimers, but the question is if you're as part of your employment plan.
Oh.
Right,
Yeah.
come up with that because you were saying you don't do a different cover letter for each company you
Right.
plan for.
Okay. Okay, so here's the thing. You can, instead of rewriting your cover letter, not your cover letter, but your email
Yeah.
on your cover letter. Okay, your email for your cover letter should be very short. Okay, because the goal is they read this very quickly, and then they open an attachment, which is your cover letter, and then they open the other attachment, which is your resume, right?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so, but instead of spending a little bit of time every time you want to send out a letter to a cover letter, you spend a good amount of time to write the perfect introductory email. So if you're going to send out 5 cover letters, you can just open up the canned response and customize it. So you don't say, "Dear Sir," or "I'm very interested in your company." You say, "I'm very interested in whatever the name of the company is." So the person receiving it sees it as it is to them. It's not a generic cover letter, right? It's to them. But what you have to do, and so what you have to do is you just have to change who it's to. But the bulk of it's the same. And then you can put a lot of energy into having a very good-looking email.
You just customize the name, you'll change the name.
Exactly. So, canned responses is a very powerful tool. If you don't feel that you're to that level, don't worry about it. At some point when you're using Gmail, you will. It's like when I go to yoga, they're always saying, if you can't do this move, don't worry about it. One day you will. That's what it is.
I see some of those moves.
Okay. So if you feel comfortable and you want to go to canned responses, it is a great, powerful tool. But if you don't feel you're ready for that, don't worry about it. Don't get yourself confused. Just focus on the basics. The other thing that was in today's video was what?
The fire,
undo
the
send.
sender's remorse.
Undo send.
Yeah, undo send.
Okay.
I
And
didn't click that one.
you might have 30 seconds.
Yeah, that's not enough to make a difference. I don't think.
Well, you might have 30 seconds to undo what you sent. Okay. Okay, but you have to be quick.
You have sender's remorse, it's almost immediate.
Right.
That undo.
Yeah. So it's good to have, but you know, there's that old saying, measure twice, cut once. Okay. So the better thing to do is before you send it,
Review it,
just read it again. Now, talking about composing emails, this isn't really a summary of Gmail, but an important thing to know is people do not read, they skim. Okay, people skim. People don't read anymore. There's too much material, too much stuff to read, and there's too much other stuff that people prefer. What do people prefer to do besides read? Watch. And what's the other thing? What do people in here like to do? Listen, yes. Okay. People in here like to listen with their headphones on. Something else. Now remember the talk we had on creativity?
Okay.
Remember the guy that had the really long, funny name?
They don't ask what it is.
Does anybody remember that? What was the guy's name? His first name was also part of his last name.
Oh, I remember that, but I don't remember.
Mikhail Kahaley, something like that. Okay. Remember what he said about your brain? Of how you can only, well, he was talking about flow, and he said your brain is only able to process a certain amount of information
90 bits
per second.
That's the same guy that said that music or anything that, or any other distraction.
Yeah, so that's why we can't listen to more than 2 conversations at one time, because our brain is not fast enough to be able to process that much information. So, you know, a trap that a lot of people get into is saying, I'm going to listen to music so I can focus. You can't do that. You will not get into the zone. You will not get into flow.
That depends on if there's words. If there's lyrics or not. Don't you
Nope.
agree?
If you are focused on 2 things. Now, let's say this. If you really want to block out what's going on, what would they tell you to listen to? No. White noise. What's white noise? It's just kind of like that. And I can tell you, if you're ever on a transcontinental flight, like you're flying to Europe, and you want to sleep, there are headphones that you can get that are, they block out sound, but it's not because they're just so big they block out sound. They actually have white noise. They have white noise that blocks out other sound. And after a short period of time, you don't notice the white noise. You just feel like that you can't hear anything. And so don't get in the habit of thinking, if I listen to music really loud, I can concentrate and type faster. Okay. Because again, the science of your brain is you can only process a certain amount of information per second, and if you're putting some of your energy into listening to music, and other parts doing the other thing, you can't. How did he describe it when you're in flow?
Something where you've been doing it for like 10 years before you can even get in the flow.
You're completely present, and you don't even know that you have a hand. Remember the description of writing music? You just see your hand as writing. Okay? So you can't do that if you're also doing something else at the same time.
He said it takes years to get that.
Yeah. So, now what does that have to do with Gmail?
I have no idea. Oh. I don't know.
So it has to do with people, when people don't read, they skim. Okay, they're not focused on your email, generally. Now, unless there's something in there that draws their attention, then people become laser focused. They'll read what's before it and they'll read what's after it.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
how do you get people?
Catch their eye.
How do you do something to get people to focus on your email? What are some of the things? Well, but they have to read it first.
Keywords.
They have to see the keyword. What do you have to do so they see it? Okay, underline, bold. You can highlight. Everybody should know you can highlight like a yellow pen, like a yellow marker.
I found that.
You can do that. The key thing in emails, especially if they're long, is to do things to highlight words by underlining, making them bold, make them a different color. If you make it red, well, maybe. But if you do an email and you have red in there and it's bold, people's eyes they're not going to be able to not see that. It depends what you say. Okay? Depends what you say.
That's the equivalent of shouting at someone.
Huh?
That's the equivalent of shouting at someone?
Well, no, it could say alert.
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, generally all caps people perceive as like you're shouting. If you're doing all caps or things that are in red, but at the end of the day, you want to make it look professional. You don't want it to be so colorful that it looks like a 5-year-old would do. Don't use a different color for every letter.
You want to use the same color, but you only want to put in key parts.
Yeah, and you don't want to have the whole thing in highlight. Highlight something, the most important thing, so people will read what's before it and they'll read what's after it. And part of the thing that will help them remember that is what? What did Daniel Dennett say? Every time you say it, you'll read it,
write it,
you make another copy in your brain.
Copy in your brain.
So if you have 3 words that are highlighted, their eyes are going to go to those 3 words. They're not going to be able to help it. They're going to see those words. Act now. Okay, let's just say it says 2 words. Act now. They're highlighted. Boom. They're in red. They're highlighted. Whatever it is. They open the email. You got an email from Israel. Open it. Act now. That's the first thing I'm going to see. And then I'm going to look before it to see what did it say before it. They do. Why? Because it works. Okay? So, act now. Well, I'm going to look at what's in front of me. Might say, if you want to take advantage of this opportunity, act now. Now I'm going to read what's after it. Send me, $1,000 so that the Nigerian government will release this $12 million in gold. Okay. At that point, I stop reading. Okay, but
it caught your attention. That's
the point.
It caught your attention.
Okay? And just because you see it in a slick marketing promotion type thing, it doesn't mean it's bad. Okay, it's just like a test for paranoia, right? People who are paranoid think that people are following them and chasing them, things like that.
Yeah.
Well, just because you're paranoid, it doesn't mean they're not following you.
Exactly.
Oh, no.
I do that all the time.
Okay. So just because professional marketing people use these techniques, it doesn't mean they're bad. Okay, it could mean they're good. And it probably does. It works. So in composing emails, it should only contain the amount of language that's needed to convey the message. Right.
Short and sweet.
Well, any email, because people don't read.
Yeah.
So don't think, huh?
numbers.
Well, they start by
We're not trying to
skimming.
get a job.
I don't.
Yeah, they don't
You
open
start
every
by
email
scanning.
and read them. I
Start-
sure don't.
Everyone is conditioned now, you start by skimming. Okay? You don't read every word. You start by skimming. Okay, now it might be at the first word or the first 3 words you say, you know what, I'm going to slow down, I'm
But
going
you
to
know,
read it.
that's reverse that, it's reverse that direct. What about the resume?
That lives in another state, you don't talk to your letter.
Well, you might do it that way. What most people will do is they'll scan the whole letter looking for something really interesting first. Mom died. Okay? And then they're going to not care about the first 2 sentences, paragraphs. They're going to go to the mom died, then they're going to go back.
No, let's reverse that to the resume thing.
That's
Yeah.
what I do. I scan
I mean,
everything if I see something.
I know everything's
that'll start
supposed to
from
look
the beginning,
professional,
so I
but-
need to read this.
Like the key points, you know, like the
Well, your resume is your resume. Your cover letter is your cover letter. We're talking about the email introduction to your cover letter and email. But again, people don't read, they skim. Okay? Now, some people, again, everything is on a bell curve. Some people might feel they need to read every word. Very few people do that. Some people feel they don't need to read anything. Most people read something. So you're not going to go wrong if you highlight, make bold, and draw people's attention. You're not going to go wrong by doing that. Well, it might not be the first 3. It could be in the middle somewhere.
Yeah.
Right? So, all right. So we only have a couple minutes left. So the important things about Gmail, again, it is a very powerful email. This is the one that you should use as your free email. Why? Because it has a lot of features. It's very powerful. Also, Google is going to keep updating it. As Google adds more apps, they will integrate those into email. Okay? So can somebody say, there's a free email that's better than Google, than Gmail? Yeah, it might be that's just the pure email. It might be just that pure email is better because it's more secure or whatever. But if you take all of the features and benefits and compare them, Google is the way to go. They're always going to want to be a step ahead. They're always going to own search. Nobody's going to beat them in search. And they're going to get better in all of the other things they do. So Gmail is the way that you should go for your free email. You should always, from this point forward, any other emails you get, you should add them to your Gmail. And so what I would suggest everybody here does is to create, if you don't have one already, is to create your personal Gmail account. Okay, your school Gmail account then becomes an account on your account. Okay, so right now, you have your Gmail account, right?
Yeah.
And you have a forwarding account, which is your professional one.
Yeah.
Okay, at the SPQR. That goes into here, right? So what I'm suggesting you do is that you create a personal Gmail that you're going to want to use for the rest of your life. That's going to be the central repository of all information for you. It's going to hook into a drive that is just your drive. You don't worry that, well, this is the school one. If I put something on the drive, is anybody in the school going to be able to see it? The answer is no, not unless you put it in a folder that's shared. But just for peace of mind, create your own Gmail account.
But that'll intertwine with the other 2, like we were saying yesterday.
Well, then you have to go into settings and you hook this one up as an account that's part of your personal account. Okay?
So anytime you get if you do it that way, then anytime you get one of the 3 counts, it still shows up on your.
It would show up here. But actually, I'm going to take that back for today. For while you're in school, your school account should be your primary account because we're going to use that all day long. If you have your personal account as your primary Gmail account, you're going to say, well, I can't see it in Google+. I didn't get that in Google. Well, duh, because you're not in your school Google+. You're in your personal. But when you're done, or for the rest of your life, you should have your personal Gmail account And all other emails that you have, other work emails, if you're part of a club, those emails, any other email you have should be attached into your personal Gmail account. And that's the one that you have. Yeah.
That you have a school.
Yeah.
We instruction a person.
Correct.
How can I find in here if I have a person?
Well, do you have another Gmail account, another email that ends in @gmail.com? Did you ever set one up?
She has two.
Yeah, I have one. Give it a one. Let me use it.
So, who's it? Okay, we're going to wrap it up for the week. Victoria, is there any question I can answer for you or any of your fellow students?
No.
Okay, so Gmail, very powerful, something to take with you to work, something to build upon when you're at work for the cloud. Your employer would want to use the paid-for version, which is only $5 per subscriber per month, and it's well worth it. Okay? So thank you, everybody. Have a nice weekend. We're going to send an invitation out. The Jesuit will be here tomorrow. We're going to have a hangout on air at 10, and everybody's invited to participate, so we'll send everyone a invitation to that. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
On your email, that's so cool. You can make phone calls on your computer. And all my numbers and my contact